So we'll start with the prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Sa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्नाय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतसे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपिका गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तत्कांचन गौरांगी शिरादेवी वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्य परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्याम जगन्नाथाय च नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। So, verse number 22. Yeah. यो वानुसायिनां सर्गः पाषण्डस्य च सम्भवः आत्मनो बन्धमोक्षौ च व्यवस्थानं स्वरूपतः. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Okay. I'm reading, Prabhu.
Yes.
Translation. Please also explain how, merged in the body of the Lord, living beings are created and how the infidels appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. Purport. The progressive devotee of the Lord must bona fide spiritual master how living entities merged in the body of the Lord again come back at the time of creation. There are two kinds of living entities. There are the ever liberated living beings as well as the ever conditioned living beings. Ever conditioned living beings, there are two divisions. They are the and the infidels. Of the faithful, there are again two divisions, namely the devotees and the mental speculators. The mental speculators desire to merge into the existence or to become one, whereas the devotees of the Lord desire to keep separate identities and constantly engage in the service of the Lord. The devotees fully purified, the empiric philosophers become conditioned again during the next creations for further purification. Such conditioned souls become liberated by devotional service to the Lord. Maharaja Parikshit asked all these questions from the bona fide spiritual master in order to become fully equipped in the science of God.
Yeah.
Very.
Thank you. So, the question he asks is basically Yo Vanuisam Sargaha. Sarga basically means the primary creation. So Sarga is called the primary creation and Visarga is called the secondary creation. So Yo Vanusayam Sargaha Pasandasya cha Sambhava. So please describe the appearance of the Jivas who are merged in the Lord, which are part of Sarga. At the devastation and the creation of Pasandas. Pasandis means basically the imposters. And Atmano Bandha Moksha cha Vivasthanam cha Rupataha. And please tell Bandha, describe what is bondage, Moksha, what is liberation, and Vivasthanam cha Rupataha. Uh, and the condition of eternally liberated Jiva. So Rupatam is those who know who they are. So, so Anusayinam, the first word, Va Anusayinam. Anusayinam refers to the appearance of Jivas who were merged in the Lord during Mahapralaya. And then the question comes about the sadhana bhaktas who want perfection. Pasandas is a heretics. And then he asks basically questions regarding bondage and liberation, which are needed for Gyan Misra Bhakti and Karma Misra Bhakti, etc. Now, he also asked the uh, questions regarding eternal bhakti of Jiva who are associates of the Lord, like Visakshen. Visakshen is the eternal associate of the Lord, and he is the general of the army of Lord Narayan. So he's asking regarding that. And Prabhupada in the purport, he explains about different types of people. So there are two types of living entities. One of them are Nitya Baddha, who are ever conditioned, and there are some Nitya Muktas, who are ever liberated. Among those who are Nitya Baddhas conditioned, there are two types of people. One of them are faithful, another are infidels. So one of them are faithful means they follow Vedic path. They may be worshippers of Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagwan, either of them. Another ones are those who defy the Lord and they don't worship the Lord. Now, among those who worship the Lord, there are two categories. One of them are munis, mental speculators, and another are devotees. So these mental speculators, they desire to become one with the Lord. They are many times called Guna Bhuta Bhaktas. Guna Bhuta Bhaktas means for them, bhakti is secondary. Their sadhana is merely consisting of three modes of material nature. So those who are karma kandis and sakam karma yogis, you must have read about them in Bhagavad Gita. So these are the people who have a lot of desires. Desire is a symptom of mode of passion, and such people's their sadhana is filled with mode of passion. Those who are niskam karma yogis, jnana yogis, and ashtanga yogis, they desire Brahman through the practice of Varnasam Dharma, through the practice of understanding 24 elements, that's for Jnana Yogis, or through yoga practices. So such people, their sadhana is mostly in mode of goodness. But those who want Supreme Personality of Godhead as their goal, they are called devotees, bhaktas. So their goal is at least free from three modes of material nature. So among them there are Karma Misra Bhaktas, Jnana Misra Bhaktas, Yoga Misra Bhaktas, and then there are Suddha Bhaktas, pure devotees. So anybody who is desiring only to serve Krishna comes in the category of pure devotees. So here, basically, Prabhupada is explaining that those who are Gold Bhut Bhakta, they want to merge in the Lord, and devotees want to just serve the Lord. Devotees just want to serve the Lord. Yeah. Okay. यथात्मतंत्रो भगवान विक्रीडति आत्म मायया विसृज्य वा यथा मायाम उदासते साक्षिवद विभुः. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Translation: the independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. purport. Lord Sri Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead and fountainhead of all other incarnations, is the only independent person. He enjoys his pastimes by creation as he desires and gives them up to the external energy at the time of annihilation. By his internal potency only, he kills the demon Putana, even though enjoying his pastimes in the lap of his mother Jashoda. And when he desires to leave this world, he creates the pastime of killing his own family members, Yadukula, and remains unaffected by such annihilation. He is the witness of everything that is happening, and yet he has nothing to do with anything. He is independent in every respect. Maharaja Parikshit desired to know more perfectly, for a pure devotee ought to know well.
Yes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So yathatma tantro bhagavan vikriti atma maya. So please describe how the supremely independent Krishna carries out pastimes using his Yog Maya. Hmm. So Visrijya yatha mayam udasite sakshivad vibhu. And after creating such special pastimes or disappearance, he remains indifferent to them. He just remains like a witness. So that is how Lord performs pastimes and yet he's aloof. So please describe how he carries out the pastimes of creation, having given up the universe at the time of destruction. Or describe how independent Atmatantra Krishna is. So although Krishna is source of all avatars, he performed different pastimes like killing Putana as Prabhupada explained, using his Yogmaya potency. Or he performs pastimes like uh, showing the abode of Mahavishnu to Arjuna when sons of Brahmana were getting killed. Mahavishnu stole all those children just to get the son of Krishna and Arjuna. So in this way, after creating such special pastimes of disappearance or appearance or all these things, he just remains witness to these pastimes. He's so aloof. He's so aloof. So please explain all these pastimes. And this proves that how Supreme Lord is Supreme Lord. So I'll just narrate one special episode. So Ravindra Sarupru, who is Prabhupada disciple, he told this particular episode which happened in his life. So when he was a temple president, then there were people in the city, that city, they had put big hoardings. If you meditate like Jesus, you become compassionate supreme. Meditate like Buddha and become enlightened supreme. Meditate like Krishna and become love supreme. Now Lord wants you to meditate and realize that you are God. So when the devotee knew brahmachari, they heard that, they were so angry. No, how can these fellows spread Mayavad so much? So they were again coming to Ravindra Sarupru. And Ravindra Sarupru said that I have been practicing since so many years. So many people came and went. How does it matter? And then finally, devotees were harassing so much, he decided I should go. So he happened to go with all these brahmacharis to that program. So they went to the venue. Venue was very low lighted. It was like old monastery. And then when they went there, they saw that on the bench there were four people who were delivering like lecture. So then for first half an hour, they were like almost 45 minutes. They spoke on meditation, how to meditate and this technique and that technique. And then at the end, they said, any questions? And like Ravi Sarupru raised his hand and he said, you wrote in your advertisement that Krishna meditated and became love supreme. So when Krishna was just few days old, he killed this huge demoness Putana, who was 12 miles long. So can you tell us when did Krishna meditate? When did Krishna meditate? And all these fellows were like confused. So they started discussing among themselves. And then after almost 15 minutes of silence, they spoke unanimously. They said words, 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 words. Words are the cause of illusion, they're cause of Maya. So don't go by words, just meditate. And then Ravi Sarupu said, since the last 45 minutes you are speaking so many words, they were not cause of Maya. And when I'm asking question, they're cause of Maya. And then they said, oh, no, no, don't get caught up in these words and this and that. And they stopped the program. And that was like the end of their program. So the point is, God doesn't have to meditate to become God. So Lord performs pastimes and he's aloof also. Because for him, creating this world, destroying this world, somebody's born, somebody's died, doesn't matter. It's like he's not so much affected. Like we have seen, uh, even with the new devotees, it happens that sometimes new devotees are too enthusiastic or they become too elated or too morose with some success, some failure in the moment. But old devotees are like calm. We have seen everything. So similarly, Krishna is Adam Purana Purusam. He's the oldest person. So for him, he performs pastimes and he remains aloof. He's not so much concerned. Uh, he's not so much concerned. He performs his task and he remains calm. So how does he do all these things? Uh, that is a question of Parichet Maharaj. Because generally, when we create something, we have a tendency to become attached. We maintain something, we have a tendency to become attached. And if such a thing is annihilated, we feel pain. But Lord is aloof. So how is that possible and how does Lord perform all these pastimes? So that is his question. Hmm. सर्वम एतच्च भगवन् पृच्छतो मे अनुपूर्वसः तत्त्वतो अर्हसि उदाहर्तुं प्रपन्नाय महामुने. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
I request some other devotees to read the purport and the translation.
Hare Krishna Muji. Should I read?
Yes, please.
Translation. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you, from the very beginning of my questions. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. Should I read purport of Sabji?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Purport. The spiritual master is always prepared to impart knowledge to the disciple, and specifically when the disciple is very inquisitive. Inquisitiveness on the part of a disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple. Maharaj Parishit is a typical disciple because he is perfectly inquisitive. If one is not very inquisitive about self-relation, one need not approach a spiritual master simply to make a show of discipleship. Not only is Maharaj Parishit inquisitive concerning all he has inquired about, but he is also anxious to know about what he has not been able to inquire. Actually, it is not possible for a man to inquire about everything from the spiritual master. But the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten the disciple in every way for the disciple's benefit.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is like a beautiful question. Sarvameta cha Bhagavan Pachito Manu Purusaha. So whatever Tattva Arasi Udhartum Prapanna Mahamune. So Sarvam Etat Cha. Cha indicates what is not asked. So whatever I have asked, Prachito, please tell me. Please tell me whatever I've asked. And Cha means please also tell me what I have not asked from you. So tattva arthati to prapanna samamone. So I'm so surrendered unto you. So whatever is beneficial for me, please tell. Not that okay, you are these questions, I'll just give those answers. Not like that. So don't make it like question answer session. Tell me whatever is beneficial for me. And Prabhupada writes that this is a uh, symptom of a perfect disciple. So a disciple generally is inquisitive to know about the absolute truths. हाँ, अथा तो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा. So when there is inquiry about the absolute truths, that is the time one is supposed to meet a spiritual master and inquire from him about what is goal of life, kya maya jaritaptraya, who am I, why I am suffering in this world, why three modes of material nature. So these are the questions a person should ask. And Prabhupada makes it very clear that one doesn't have to approach spiritual master for other purposes. Personally, I've seen sometimes certain spiritual masters become upset when some senior disciples also they come for some other purposes than spiritual inquiry. So I won't name these devotees. Once I remember one very senior sannyasi of ISKCON, he just came out of the temple, and then one disciple came and he said that Maharaj, my son is in class 4. Please bless him so that he passes in the exam. And then Maharaj, just gave him blessings. But then later on, he was telling to the disciples, so many years have passed, almost 10, 15 years have passed, and this fellow, he doesn't know what to ask from the spiritual master. So the purpose of approaching a spiritual master should be clear. Uh, so one should approach a spiritual master for the purpose of spiritual advancement. Like generally when somebody is deceased, they go to a doctor. Somebody has some problem with a car, they go to a mechanic. So only when one has spiritual inquiry, one should go to the spiritual master. But because in general in India, what happens is people they're fond of hearing about some sort of magic trick or somebody has given a blessing and person become very rich overnight. So after, because of hearing all these things, the spirit becomes that one should go to the sadhu for getting supernatural spiritual advancement. Sorry, material advancement, not spiritual advancement, material advancement. So such a thing comes in mind. But one has to approach spiritual master only for the purpose of spiritual advancement. And somehow I've seen it's like people have such a faith. Uh, one of my relatives, actually my mother only, she was giving me some advice on health. So then I told that, from where did you hear this particular thing? She said that no, one sadhu was there and he was speaking like that. And I know about that sadhu. When I heard that, I saw he is such a bad health. How can he give advice on good health? So advice, if you want to hear from him, of course, this person was like, I respect him because he's from one of the bona fide sampradayas. So I told, okay, you want to hear, you hear something special from him. But what is the use of hearing about this is good for health, that is good for health? If you want to hear all these things, either go to some Ayurvedic Acharya or hear from some doctor. So the point is one has to approach to spiritual master only for the purpose of spiritual inquiry. And if somebody is submissive, spiritual master is ready to impart all the knowledge. That is why Krishna gives bhakti through the medium of generally his Madhyam Adhikari Bhakta. So when Madhyam Adhikari Bhakta sees this person is receptive, he gives him full knowledge, depending on seeing the receptivity of a person. Yeah. Okay, so that's what Prabhupada is explaining here. अत्र प्रमाणम ही भवान परमेष्टि यथात्मभू अपरे चानुतिष्ठन्ति पूर्वे सांपूर्वजय कृतम. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Translation: O great sage, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. Purport: it may be argued that Sukadeva Goswami is not the only authority of perfect knowledge in transcendence, because there are many other sages and their followers. Contemporary to Vyasdev, or even prior to him, there were many other great sages, such as Gautam, Kanad, Jaimini, Kapila, and Ashtavakra, and all of them have presented a philosophical path by themselves. Patanjali is also one of them, and all these six great rishis have their own way of thinking, exactly like the modern philosophers and the mental speculators. The difference between the six philosophical paths put forward by the renowned sages above mentioned and that of Sukadeva Goswami, as presented in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is that all the six sages mentioned above speak the facts according to their own thinking, but Sukadeva Goswami presents the knowledge which comes down directly from Brahmaji, who is known as Atmahu, or born of, and educated by Almighty Personality of Godhead. The Vedic transcendental knowledge descends directly from the Personality of Godhead. By his mercy, Brahma, the first living being in the universe, was enlightened. And from Brahmaji, Narad was enlightened. And from Narada, Vyas was enlightened. Sukadeva Goswami received such transcendental knowledge directly from his father Vyasadeva. Thus, the knowledge being received from the chain of disciplic succession is perfect. One cannot be a spiritual master in perfection unless and until one has received the same by disciplic succession. That is the state of receiving transcendental knowledge. The six great sages mentioned above may be great thinkers, but their knowledge by mental speculation is not perfect. However perfect and empiric philosophers may be in presenting a philosophical thesis, such knowledge is never perfect because it is produced by an imperfect mind. Such great sages also have their disciplic successions, but they are not authorized because such knowledge does not come directly from the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. No one can be independent except Narayan. Therefore, no one's knowledge can be perfect, for everyone's knowledge is dependent on the flickering mind. The mind is material, and the knowledge presented by material speculators is never transcendental and can never become perfect. Mundane philosophers, being imperfect in themselves, disagree with the other philosophers because a mundane philosopher is not a philosopher at all, unless he presents his own theory. Intelligent persons like Maharaj Parishit do not recognize such mental speculators, however great they may be. But here from the authorities like Sukadeva Goswami, who is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the Parampara system, as is especially stressed in the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you. So verse 25. So when Parikshit Maharaj asked these questions, then Sukadeva Goswami says, my dear Parikshit, you have already heard all these things which we are asking now from other sages directly. Because when you were king, you have been hearing from all these sages. So why do you ask these same questions to me again? So what he says is, Atra pramanam hi bhavan parmeshti yathatma bhu. You are pramanam, you are authoritative. Like Parmeshti. Parmeshti is Brahma basically. Who is called Yatha Atma Bhu. Atma Bhu means one is born from himself or born from non-material mother and father. That's from Lord Vishnu. So you are like Brahma, who by the mercy of the Lord became knowledgeable of the meaning of self-evident Vedas. Others undertake action after studying it and studying it. So other people, they study, but for you, you are already getting knowledge down the parampara. So that's why, because you're authoritative, I'm asking this question so that I'll get authoritative knowledge. So Prabhupada points here a very interesting thing. So he says that there are paramparas for other subjects also. But when our acharyas say that bona fide spiritual master or bona fide parampara, they are referring to the knowledge of bhakti, which is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So there may be other paramparas also. So like even Shankarites also sometimes quote, oh, we have a parampara. Yes, they have a parampara, but that's not the parampara of Bhakti parampara. Bhakti is the essence of all the scriptures. Similarly, so Sat Darshan, Prabhupada is talking about 6 darshans. And all these 6 darshans, especially 5 of them, are actually, you can say in one sense, mental speculation only. But they are also part of Vedic knowledge. But still, those who are devotees don't appreciate them. Why they don't appreciate? They don't appreciate because all these 5 darshans don't directly come to bhakti. Many of the darshans, like Sankhya by Atishti Kapila, so they say that there is super soul, there is soul, both of them are conscious, but they don't participate actively. They are more like a witness, not like performers. So he takes away that part of free will, saying that you're just a witness, you can't do anything. And that is why uh, devotees don't like it. Hmm? Or Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Patanjali's philosophy is considered more dangerous than Mayavad philosophy also. Sarvama Bhattacharya mentions in his conversation with Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he says followers of Patanjali are more dangerous because when they meditate on Paramatma, at the end they try to realize, which is wrong realization, that they are Paramatma. They are Paramatma. At least impersonalists, those who are Mayavadis, worshippers of Brahman, they think that we are Brahman, but these people want to become Paramatma directly. So they are also considered more dangerous. So what Vyasdeva did is, Vyasdev allowed all these 5 philosophers who were basically disciples of Vyas, with Vyas, to have their own theories. So they came up with their own theories and they have good parts also. And later on, Vyasdev in his Vedanta Sutra defeated the other 5 philosophies. He appreciated their good qualities or good part and refuted the misconceptions. So that is how Vedanta Sutra is considered the essence of all the Vedic knowledge. But these 5 philosophies are also considered part of Vedic knowledge so that even atheists can remain in the Vedic umbrella. When atheists remain in the Vedic umbrella, they have an opportunity to finally become theists and then become devotees also. But devotees, they say, we don't want these 5 philosophies. We directly want the essence of Vedanta Sutra, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is commentary on Vedanta Sutra by Vyasdev himself. And that's why Lord Chaitanya would consider Srimad Bhagavatam as Pramana Mamulam. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Mamulam. So it is the highest truth. Yeah. So as Prabhupada is saying, we want this parampara is bona fide. This parampara is bona fide, not the other ones. Other ones may be Vedic, but they are not bona fide as per Vaishnavas are concerned. Yeah. Okay, now we can go to the next verse. Name asavaha parayanti brahman anasnadami pivito vachyuta piyusham tadvak abdhi vinisritam. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Translation: O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Purport: The disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, Vyas, and Sukdev Goswami is particularly different from others. The disciplic successions from other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of Achyuta Katha, or the message of infallible Lord. The mental speculators can present their theories very nicely by reason and arguments, but such reasons and arguments are not infallible, for they are defeated by the better mental speculators. Maharaj Parishit was not interested in dry speculation of the flickering mind, but he was interested in the topics of the Lord, because factually he felt that by hearing such a nectarian message from the mouth of Sukdev Goswami, he was not feeling any exhaustion, even though he was fasting because of his imminent death. One can indulge in hearing the mental speculators, but such hearing cannot endure for any length of time. One will be exhausted very soon from hearing such hackneyed ways of thinking, and no one in the world can be satisfied simply by hearing such a useless speculations. The message of the Lord, especially from the personality like Shukdev Goswami, can never be tiring, even though one may be exhausted from other causes. In some editions of Srimad Bhagavatam, the text of the last line of this verse reads Anyatra Kupitat Vijat, which means that the king might be overwhelmed by the thought of his imminent death by snake bite. The snake is also twice born, and its anger is compared to the cursing Brahman boy who was without good intelligence. Maharaj Parishit was not at all afraid of death, for he was fully encouraged by the message of the Lord. One who is fully absorbed in Achyut Katha can never be afraid of anything in this world. Somebody else can read after this.
Thank you. So he says, Name asava prayanti brahmanan sanadami. Pivito achyut puyusham annatra kupita dvijat. So my life has not disturbed from fasting since I am drinking the nectar of Krishna. Achyut piyusam. So piyus is called nectar, and of Achyut, of Lord Achyut's Katha. So don't think I will be disturbed by Brahmana's death curse in 7 days. I'm not disturbed by that. Just speak Krishna's pastimes. So in speaking about Krishna, don't worry about my difficulties. Don't think that na parayanti. Don't think that my life years are disturbed from fasting. No, they are not disturbed because I'm drinking Achyut Katha. So the curse by angry Brahmana will come in 7 days in form of takshak. And it will end my life. And at that time, I will not be able to hear the nectar of Krishna's pastimes. So please don't delay in telling Krishna Katha because I don't have much time. I don't want to waste my time in other things. I just want to hear Hari Katha. And he continues with this particular realization even towards the end. Because in the 10th canto also, when Sukdev Goswami seemingly summarized Krishna's pastimes like the pastimes of other incarnations. So that time also he was saying same thing. Neta asan sunvan taktodam api vadate pibantam tam mukhambojam chutam harikathamatam. So don't think that time you're saying, don't think that I am worried by chuta. Chuta means basically hunger. So I'm not hungry, I'm not thirsty. Because I'm continuously drinking Harikatha from you. So because by that time almost 4 or 5 days had passed. And Sukdev Goswami was warning, Are, I'm speaking. For me, I'm transcendental, but Parikshit Maharaj should eat something, drink something. Parikshit Maharaj are not required. So same Parikshit Maharaj were overwhelmed by thirst earlier, and he kept a dead snake around the neck of Samik Rishi. Now, because he was relishing Harikatha, he didn't want to waste his time in drinking water or eating food or taking rest. So he was continuously relishing. So that is how pure devotees relish Srimad Bhagavatam or Harikatha. Even within a devotee circle also. Once this 3 4 years back, 3 years back maybe, I was giving a Bhakti Vaiva class, and one of the devotees who were attending Bhakti Vaiva class, he was actually very senior. Sometimes very senior devotees also come to attend class. He was RGB for many uh, countries, basically in Africa. Gangapati Nimai, something like that, devotee, a black devotee. So he was telling his realization. He was saying that he was suffering due to cancer. So he said that I have a lot of pains in the body, but whenever I hear Srimad Bhagavatam, there are no pains. I don't feel any pains. So that's why you're saying, I'm very grateful to you that no, you are speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. And I thought, no, this person's realization is millions of times more than my realization, this devotee realization. To certain devotees who, as one becomes purified, one realizes Harikatha more and more. So Parchit Maharaj was releasing Harikatha. So he said, I asked all these questions. Don't think that no, you will speak very concisely in a short form, quickly give the answers, because I'm harassed by hunger, thirst, or the fear because of Takshak. No, I'm not harassed by any of these things. Just speak Harikatha, that's all. Nothing else. Don't worry about anything else. Okay. And let us see what Sukdev Goswami replies. So this Sut Goswami. Sutvacha sa upamantrito ragya kathayam iti satpate brahmarato bhrisam prito Vishnu ratena samsati. Yes, please read translation and purport.
I'm reading. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Sutta
Hare.
Goswami said, thus Sukadeva Goswami being invited by Maharaj Parikshit to speak on topics of the Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees was very pleased, very much pleased. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam can be legitimately discussed only among the devotees of the Lord. As the Bhagavad Gita was authoritatively discussed between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the Lord and the devotees respectively, similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita, can also be discussed between the scholars and the devotees like Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Otherwise, the real taste of the nectar cannot be relished. But Sukadeva Goswami was pleased with Maharaj Parikshit because he was not at all tired of hearing the topics of the Lord and was more and more anxious to hear them on and on with interest. Foolish interpreters unnecessarily tackle the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam when they have no access to the subject matter. There is no use in non-devotees meddling with the two topics of Vedic literature, two topmost Vedic literatures, and therefore Shankaracharya did not touch Srimad Bhagavatam for commentation. In his commentation on the Bhagavad Gita, Sripad Shankaracharya accepted Lord Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, but later on he commented from the impersonalist view. But being unconscious of his position, he did not comment on Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Shukadeva Goswami was protected by Lord Sri Krishna, Viday Brahma Vaivarta Puran, and therefore he is known as Brahmarat. And Srimad Parikshit Maharaj was protected by Vishnu, and thus he is known as Vishnurat. As devotees of the Lord, they are always protected by the Lord. It is clear also in this connection that a Vishnurat should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Brahmarat and no one else, because others misrepresent the transcendental knowledge and thus spoil one's valuable time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Saupamandito Ragya Kathayamiti Satpate Brahmarato Samprito Vishnu Ratena Samsadi. So Brahmarat is referring to Sukdev Goswami and Vishnu Rat is referring to uh, Parikshit Maharaj. So as Prabhupada writes, according to Brahmavaivarta Puran, Sukdev Goswami got protection from Krishna. That's why it's called Brahmarats. And Parikshit Maharaj also got protection from Krishna, as we read in first canto of Bhagavatam. And that's why it's called Vishnu Rats. So these question and answers were very nectarian. And the reason Prabhupada writes is because similar things can be related between similar people. Like we find when Lord Chaitanya met with Ramananda Raya on the banks of Godavari. So that time other Brahmanas were there. Lord Chaitanya didn't speak anything. He told that come in night time, evening time. And that time they relished like anything. So Hari Katha can be relished with when there are proper devotees of equal disposure and equal realization is there. Then it can be relished. Like let us say we are giving Bhakti Vaiva class. Now why it is said that no, okay, only when you complete Bhakti Shastri you come and attend Bhakti Vaiva. The reason is, no, we are having Bhakti Vaiva class and then suddenly somebody asks a question. What are these three modes of material nature? Then it's like speaker says, entire rasa is gone. Now I have to explain how three modes of material nature. Or let us say, no, we are speaking about all these questions and suddenly somebody asks a question. Does God exist? Is there something called God? So then the entire thing will be lost. So that is why when we want to release some things, there have to be audience of equal disposal. And that is why the opportunity which we are getting now of discussing Bhagavatam is rare. So all the way mercy of Prabhupada and all the devotees who are organizing these Shastra classes, we are having that opportunity, but it's a rare opportunity. So similarly, Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami, they were relishing Hari Katha because both of them had equal disposal. One was Brahmarat, another was Vishnu Rat. So that's why they were enjoying. So both of them are devotees of Krishna. So there was not much talk about who is Supreme Lord. We don't find so much of that in Bhagavatam. Certainly some episodes indicate that or some discussion is there, but that's not the prime thing. Prime thing is just Hari Katha. Yeah. Praha Bhagavantam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Translation. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was spoken first by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature and it is just as in pursuance of the Vedas. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the personality of Godhead. The impersonalist always tries to misrepresent the personal feature of the Lord, not knowing the science of this great knowledge. And Srimad Bhagavatam is in pursuance of the Vedas and scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. To learn this science, one should take shelter of the representative of Sri Shukadev and follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit without foolishly attempting to interpret, thereby committing a great offense at the feet of the Lord. The dangerous ways of interpretation by the non-devotee class of men have played havoc in understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the careful student should be always alert in this matter if he at all wants to learn the science of God. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Praha Bhagavanta Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. And then Sukdev Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam which is called Brahma Samhitam, or the essence of all the Vedas. So Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate. So this particular Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Brahma in first Kalpa. First Kalpa. The first day of Brahma. So that time it was spoken. And Prabhupada again emphasizes on that a Srimad Bhagavatam should not be touched by non-devotees. Because if they touch it, they will spoil everything. So you'll find some commentators now taking out something. Now I don't just remember this man. He's not worthwhile remembering also. So there's one very famous speaker now. Such a nonsense. He's like, he says that he misinterprets even the Bhakti literatures. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam. And he says, oh, all these things are spoken so that a common man can understand these things. And then people have their interpretations. So what is Kurukshetra? Kurukshetra is like a body. 5 Pandavas are the 5 senses. And so many different analogies, such nonsense, because they have no devotion at all. Because they don't have devotion, that's why they try to screw out some meaning which fits in their brains. And that's what Prabhupada would hate like anything. Like one time, there was certain community of people. So they started commenting on Ras Leela, that actually in Ras Leela, it's not that Krishna enjoyed with the gopis. And then they were telling that how it's like the meeting of Atma and Paramatma. And they had their own analogies just to justify that now, as if Krishna had done some crime and you have to clear off his crime by saying, no, no, this Krishna never did all these things. Prabhupada said that you don't have to advocate from the side of Krishna. Anybody who has devotion will glorify these pastimes like anything. Anybody who understands that here is the Supreme Lord who allows his devotees to serve in such an intimate way, who can be better Lord than that? Like even the Narayan doesn't allow you to dance with him, caress him, put your hand on his neck. Krishna is allowing all these things. So Krishna is the best conception of Godhead available in any religion, in any scripture, anywhere. So Prabhupada said, you don't have to justify these things. Rather, anybody who hears that Krishna is allowing himself to be dealt so intimately, he will become attracted to Krishna. So that is why those are non-devotees can understand. Karma Kandis, the way they interpret Bhagavatam is like, it's like anywhere they will see Krishna doing something, just see Krishna done such a thing. He'll give you a lot of wealth, he will give you a lot of this, a lot of that. And that is their focus. So many times people sit in Bhagavad Sapta so that we'll get some punna from sitting there and we'll get good wealth. So that's why they organize Bhagavad Sapta. And when you want such a Bhagavad Sapta, then Karma Kandi Bhagavad speakers also come. आज मेरे श्याम की शादी है, आज मेरे श्याम की शादी, give this donation, give that donation, and that becomes the focus. Focus is not releasing Harikatha. And that is why many times such people, they ask ISKCON devotees to come, and ISKCON devotees started speaking the actual Bhagavatam, they don't like it. They say, Swamiji, when will Krishna Janma start? When will Rukmani Vivah start? So, that is Karma Kandi view. So that is the reason Prabhupada didn't like all such commentaries. Of course, there are some bona fide people also, but Prabhupada is referring to those who are non-devotional speakers of Bhagavatam. Yat yat parikchet rasabaha pandu nam anuprachati anupurvayena tat sarvam क्या तुम उपचक्र में? Yes, please read translation and purport.
I can read Prabhu Hare Krishna.
Yes, please.
He also prepared himself to reply to all the King Parikshit had inquired from him. Maharaja Parikshit was the best in the dynasty of the Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions from the right person. Maharaja Parikshit asked many questions, some of them very curiously, to know things as they are, but it is not necessary for the master to answer them in the order of the disciple inquiries, one after the other. Vasukadeva Goswami, experienced teacher that he was, answered all the questions in a systematic way as they were received from the chain of disciplic succession, and the answer of them are all of them without exception. Thus end of the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the second canto. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. So, यद यद परिचित ऋषभा पांडुना अनुपृच्छति अनुपूर्वेण तत्सर्वम् आख्यातम् उपचक्र में. So Sukdev began यद यद परिचित ऋषभा पांडुना अनुपृच्छति. अनुपृच्छति means the way or the sequence in which he asked. So this is not a sequence of questions, but sequence of topics. So the sequence of topics in which he asked, Anupurnata Sarvam Akatam Uprachakra. So then Sukdev Goswami began to explain all of them. So it was not sequence of questions, but sequence of topics. And you'll find similarly, slowly, all the topics are revealed in Bhagavatam. How a person can relish Krishna's pastimes more. That is how Bhagavatam is designed. So if we see in the second canto, the descriptions more of how Lord has Leela in this material world. The pastimes of creation, maintenance, destruction, practically they are repeated also so many times. So many times there is Sarga and Visarga which is mentioned again and again. And why it is done so? Because we have to live in this world, how to see that Lord is the creator, maintainer, destroyer of the world, so that when we live in this world, we can remember Krishna. We are convinced to how great Supreme Lord is. Like Prabhupada would say, often say, that people know that God is great, but they don't know how great God is. How great God is. And only when we understand how great God is, we can relish his pastimes. Otherwise, what happens is people who don't understand greatness of the Lord, they don't understand why so vividly our devotees explaining about Krishna's pastimes. Like we see in seventh canto also prayers of Prahlad Maharaj spoken, prayers of Dhruv Maharaj spoken. So then some people those who don't understand greatness of Krishna and those who don't relish these things, they may say, he could have just told them that Dhruv Maharaj was there, he went to the forest, he did tapasya, and then Lord Vishnu appeared, that's all. Why does he have to explain about what all prayers did Dhruv Maharaj spoke? What all prayers did Prahlad Maharaj spoke? The reason is when we understand greatness about a personality, we realize the details. We realize the details. Like for example, when a wealthy man cuts a ribbon of some apartment, some stadium, sports stadium, or something like that, there are people from media ready to click the photographs, put it in news. It becomes such a big show. But at the same time, there are workers in the cloth mill who cut so many ribbons or so many clothes every day. Who cares? So the greatness of a personality helps us to appreciate the detail of a personality. So that is the reason in second canto, third canto, such a description of greatness of the Lord was spoken. So on Saturday, Sunday, generally I am giving classes on Anvindavan Champu, written by Kavi Panpur. So there, such fine details of Krishna's pastimes are given. But anybody who doesn't have that uh, love for the Lord can't appreciate them. Like during Ras Leela, the way moon was set, the glories of that moon, the way that moonlight was coming down from the uh, between the leaves, how it was looking like as if light is coming from a sieve, what type of patterns was it making on the ground. So all these things are given in such a detail. So only person who is interested in Krishna would like to hear, relish, and meditate on these details. But why will person like to do all these things? Only when one is sufficiently convinced that he is supreme personality of Godhead. So that is why Sukdev Goswami creates such a fantastic background before coming to the 10th canto. So even the 10th canto and 11th canto of Bhagavatam, if you see, essentially it is almost 40% of Bhagavatam. 90 chapters of 10th canto about pastimes of Krishna and 31 chapters of 11th canto, which is essentially Uddhav Gita. So that's 120 chapters, 121 chapters actually. They all are about pastimes of Krishna. And then there are pastimes of Krishna in first canto also. And then now also in third canto, you'll see summary of Krishna's pastimes. Uddhava is speaking to Vidur. 2 chapters are there. So all these things are given, so much about Krishna is given. And at the same time, the entire way is fabricated. I won't say fabricated, it's like the made in such a way or set in such a way that we can really realize the pastimes. And that is why Bhagavatam is considered such a great Purana. So Bhagavatam doesn't just give Krishna's pastimes, Bhagavatam also paves the way for an ordinary sadhaka to relish Krishna's pastimes. So that's the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll go to the next chapter. So answers by citing the Lord's version. So give me a minute. So why such AI things are coming in between? Hare Krishna. So okay. Yes. So in the 9th chapter, the first and second questions of Parikshit Maharaj are answered. Also, there are 4 basic verses of Bhagavatam that are spoken. Verse number 2.8.7 is asked whether the jiva's relationship to the body is with or without cause. So this question was asked. So this is answered here. A relationship of jiva with body and senses. That is explained here. Yeah. So basically, this 8th chapter of Bhagavatam is considered very important because there is 4 basic verses of Bhagavatam, Chatusloki Bhagavatam. And the first and second questions of Parikshit Maharaj are answered here. So now we'll go through all these verses. So 8th chapter is like considered very important. So now we'll hear the answers to the first and second question. Sri Sukavacha Atmamaya Rajan Parasyanubhavatmanah Na Ghatetarth Sambandha Swapna Drashtur Ivanjasa. Yes, please read translation purport.
Sri Sukadeva. Oh, sorry. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. The relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. Maharaja Parikshit questioned as to how a living entity began his material life, although he is apart from the material body and mind, is perfectly answered. The spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of his life, but he is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of the Lord called Atma Maya. This has already been explained in the first canto in connection with Vyasadeva's realization of the Supreme Lord and his external energy. The external energy is controlled by the Lord, and the living entities are controlled by the external energy, by the will of the Lord. Therefore, although the living entity is purely conscious in its pure state, he is the will of the Lord in being influenced by the external energy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, also the same things is confirmed. The Lord is present within the heart of every living entity, and all the living entities' consciousness and forgetfulness are influenced by the Lord. Now, the next question automatically made will be why the Lord influences the living entity to such consciousness and forgetfulness. The answer is wishes that every living entity be in his pure consciousness. So thus, he engaged in the loving service of the Lord as he is constitutionally made. But because the living entity is partially independent also, he may not be willing to serve the Lord, but may try to become as an independent as the Lord is. All the non-devotees living entities are desirous of becoming equally as powerful as the Lord, although they are not fit to become so. The living entities are illusioned by the will of the Lord because they wanted to become like him, like a person who thinks of becoming a king without possessing the necessary qualification. When the living entity desires to become the Lord himself, he is put in the condition of dreaming that he is a king. Therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord. And the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of Ethiopia, where he may become one like the Lord. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and the mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child with a reflection of the moon. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given over the reflection. The material world the Lord eat over as karmi, and to give these up in frustration to become one with both these stage and dreaming illusions only. There is no necessity of tracing out the history of when the living entity desired this. But the fact is that as soon as he desired it, he was put under the control of Atma Maya by the direction of the Lord. Therefore, the living entity in his material condition is dreaming falsely that this is mine and this is I. The dream is that the conditioned soul thinks of his material body as I, or falsely think that he is the Lord, and that everything is connection with that material body is mine. Thus only in dream does the misconception of I and mine persist life after life. This continues life after life, as long as the living entity is not purely conscious of its identity as a subordinate part and parcel of the Lord. In its pure consciousness, however, there is no such misconceived dream, and in the pure conscious state, the living entity does not forget that he is never the Lord, but that he is eternally the servitor of the Lord in transcendental love. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. It's a very beautiful purport. So he says, Sukadeva Goswami says, a relationship of Jiva with his body and senses does not actually take place through Avidya Shakti or Lord, because the Jiva is superior to matter, being full of knowledge. So it's not that the Jiva contacts the matter, it's not like that. It's more like a Swapna Drishtur Evanjasa. That means he suffers an illusion basically. It's an illusion. So the first question was asked in 2.8.7 by Parishit Maharaj, and the answer 2.8.7 is given here. The relationship of Jiva with the body and senses does not actually occur through beginningless avidya of the Lord, just like no relationship of the dreamer with his dream body. It's only in ignorance. So only in ignorance person starts thinking, oh, I'm a king, I have ministers, people are following me, not following me. Some enemies have come, we have a fight. And then person travels in the dream world. So parasya means parasya anubhava atmana. Parasya means Jiva is superior, because he is composed of anubhava bhava atmana, means anubhava means basically realizance. He has realization of the self. He has realization of knowledge. But all these relationships occur because of inconceivable energy of the Lord, who is expert at doing impossible. So what basically he's saying is, it's all because of illusion only. Because of illusion, we think that I am the body. And because of this illusion only, we think that things connected to body are mine. But the question comes is Lord so cruel that he's putting in that illusion? Somebody would like to answer? Why is Lord putting us in illusion? Why is he so cruel?
I think he's putting Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think he's putting us in illusion so that we basically suffer and come back. We understand the importance of going back to him.
Okay.
I had read I think it's somewhere in first canto, I can't remember the reference, but it said there are two reasons why we are here. First, to gradually understand ourselves that, we want to go back, and then to develop the love with him, for him, basically build a relationship with him.
Yeah. Thank you. So two things for causes for creation is to facilitate our desires to enjoy separate from Krishna and slowly bring us back. Yeah, that you are referring to. Okay. Some other answers, some other perspectives.
It is Jiva's free will that God has sanctioned us, that we want to become independent and enjoy like him. So we fall into the trap of illusion.
Yeah, thank you. So this was the answer I was looking for. It is we who want illusion. So why is Lord putting us in that illusion? It's we who want that illusion. That's why Lord is putting us in that illusion. So like Prabhupada gives in the purport, he gives the example of a king. Now somebody wants to become a king without having that qualification of a king. What is the best thing to do? Let him dream that he's a king. So now you are not qualified to become a king, but you can dream to become a king. So similarly, by nature, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So the only way to help us realize, not realize, or wrongly think that we are Supreme Lord is put an illusion, put a person in illusion. So that's why from childhood itself, everybody wants to become God. A child cries in the home to attract the attention of all the people. I am Supreme Lord. Focus on me. Then a person grows, he goes to school or different education institutions. There, either they want to become the best, topmost student, or they want to become the most mischievous student so that they remain in the highlight. Then a person goes for a job, there also he wants to become a highlight. So the tendency is there. The tendency is there to remain center. Because everybody came here to become God. And Maya makes all arrangements to make person feel that he's so important. Because that is the purpose why we came here. So it's a person's desire. So we can't become God, but we are made to feel that we are God. So that is why it was our desire. So Prabhupada gives very nice example of the king. That you can't become a king, but then you are made to feel that you are a king. So, and but who wanted it? We wanted it. We wanted it. Prabhupada gives another example of a moon. Child wants a moon. Child can't get a moon. So what do parents do? They put a mirror there and they say, "Hey, can you see the moon? Ha, I can see the moon. Now touch the moon." So they touch the reflection thinking it is moon. So similarly, Maya also helps us to feel that I can achieve this, I can do that. And somehow I have seen people bragging so much in the outside world. I am this, I have done that, I can create this, I can create that. Even you will find some person who is not so much accomplished in material life also feels that I'm so much accomplished. Hmm. Once I remember that time I was a brahmachari. So uh, I was going out for some book distribution. So that time there was a newspaper wala who was like throwing newspaper in different houses. And he was singing a song just by looking at me. काम करो कुछ काम करो, no, do something. As if no, I'm a useless fellow not doing anything. So I was thinking, he was a newspaper wala, has such pride that I'm doing so many things. So that time only when I visited my parents' house, so construction was going on. So there was a person who was like, who was a laborer basically. And when he saw me, first he started telling that, no, oh, Swamiji, I was pulling rickshaws in Vrindavan. I thought you were fortunate you were in Vrindavan. But then why did you come here? So he ignored my question. And then he said that actually my philosophy is that uh, person should work hard and earn on his own. He should not depend on others. He also gave a comment as if, no, I'm a useless fellow. I'm depending on anyone else. But the point I was thinking is that even person in such a pitiable situation has pride that I can do something. And that's the power of Lord's illusion, power of Lord's illusory energy. That everybody thinks that I'm God, I can do this, I can do that. I maintain myself, I maintain my family, and this and that. So we had that a desire, and Maya is expert in fulfilling that desire and illusion. So that's what Prabhupada is speaking here. Yeah. Okay. So now we can go to the next verse number 2. Yeah. बहुरूप इवा भाति मायया बहुरूपया रममाणो गुणेश अस्या ममाहम इति मन्यते. Yes, please read translation purport.
Read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encased living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, the different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory eternal energy of the Lord, external energy of the Lord, according to the modes of nature the living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by the three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity, and according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are 900,000 varieties of material bodies in the water, 2 million vegetable bodies, and 1,100,000 worms and reptiles, 1 million forms of birds, 3 million different bodies of beasts, and 400,000 human forms. Altogether, there are 8,400,000 varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe. And the living entity is traveling by so many transmigration according to the different modes of enjoying spirit within himself. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, from youth to old age, and from old age to another body created by his own action. The living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of the Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy the blood of another animal, and therefore, by the grace of the Lord, the material energy supplied him the bodies of the tiger and facilitates for enjoying blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in a higher planet can also get it by the grace of the Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get spiritual body to enjoy the company of the Lord, and he will get it. So the minute freedom of the living entity can be fully utilized, and the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity desiring is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what a mountain is, and he knows also what is gold is. Out of his desire only he dreams of a golden mountain, and when the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awakened state that there is neither gold nor mountain, and what to speak of golden mountain. The different positions of living entities in the material world under multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mine and I. The karmi thinks of this world as mine, and the jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of policies, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditioned souls is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are products of strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family, affection, and so on and so forth is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity. And the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as all this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, thank you. So, and he continues answering the question. Bahurupi va bhati maya bahurupaya ramamano gunesasya mama aham iti mannate. Mama aham, me and mine. So, Jiva appears to be having bahurupa, different forms. How they are created? Maya. They are created by Maya. And Ramamano means he enjoys basically. Ramamano Gunes Asya. So he enjoys these bodies made up of three modes of material nature. Thinking, I am this body and this body belongs, things related to this body are mine. So, Jiva is given different type of body, as Prabhupada is speaking, depending on the type of desire a person has. Meant only for to fulfill the desire of the living entity to enjoy. So that is the only purpose. So they are like different dresses. If somebody goes to a showroom, he may pick up a dress which he wants to enjoy. So similarly, depending on one's desires and paying capability. Paying capability is like karma. So paying capability is like karma, and Maya is the in charge of the entire market. So she provides with different dresses. Person can just pick up that dress, enjoy it, and then accept some other dress. So that's just done just to facilitate the desire of living entities to enjoy like Krishna. And Lord is so merciful that he allows that. In Isopanishad, I remember one beautiful line Prabhupada writes there, which I relish like anything. So he says, in conditioned state, Supreme Lord fully cooperates with the desires of the living entities. In conditioned state, Supreme Lord fully cooperates with the desire of the living entities. In pure state, Jiva fully cooperates with the desire of the Lord. And things are mixed in between. So that is how, in conditioned state, Lord gives facility to enjoy the way you want. So who has accepted illusion? We has accepted this illusion to enjoy. Like we find in this episode when Jivas stay in the body of Mahavishnu. So they are kept in the state of deep sleep. In one sense, if you see, they don't have a covering of gross body, as well as they don't have covering of subtle body also at that time. Because even the subtle elements, they enter in the totality of all elements, which ultimately enters in Pradhan. So it's like a liberated state. But even in that state, sometimes if some jivas become conscious, they suffer like anything. Why? We don't have a gross and subtle body to enjoy. And that is why Mahavishnu has to put them in sleepy state. So it's Jiva who wants to enjoy, and that is why he's attached to gross body and subtle body. Like once, I think it was Astavakra Muni. So he visited Janak Maharaj. And then he asked Janak Maharaj. So Janak Maharaj received him nicely, gave him a throne, washed his lotus feet. And then he asked that, my dear Muni, why is Maya holding to us so strongly? And as soon as Muni heard this question, he started running away. And Janak Maharaj was feeling so anxious. He was thinking, maybe I asked some wrong question. That's why Muni is angry with me. So he was running behind the Muni and Muni was running away. And seeing that the Muni is angry, all the citizens became very fearful. They thought maybe Muni is angry, then we will be cursed to death. So they were running behind Janak Maharaj. And finally, Janak Maharaj came to the outskirt of the city. And then he embraced a tree. After embracing the tree, he said, leave me, leave me, leave me. Sorry, Muni. Yeah, Muni embraced the tree and he said, leave me, leave me. And Janak Maharaj was amazed. He was saying that I am so surprised to see that you are holding on to the tree and you are saying, leave me, leave me, leave me. And Muni said that this is the answer. Maya is not holding to us, we are holding to Maya, on to Maya. Maya just facilitates our desires. So when we have desire to become like Lord, then we are put in the illusion by Mahamaya. We are made to forget the Supreme Lord. And then Maya facilitates different types of enjoyments. And when we want to come closer to Krishna, same Maya becomes Yoga Maya and connects us with Krishna. So it's not, Maya is not to be blamed. It is we who have to be blamed. But then the question comes is why there are interruptions in enjoyment? Interruptions or enjoyment are just because of one simple reason that we don't enjoy in this world the way Lord has spoken to us. So how to enjoy in this world also is spoken by the Lord in Vedic scriptures. But when people have their own plan to enjoy, which is like, I'll use a washing machine the way I want. So rather than putting some detergent, you put some sulfuric acid there. What will happen to the clothes? They'll be burnt. So similarly, when we want to enjoy the way we want in this world, then we are punished by the laws of material nature. Otherwise, Lord has a perfect program how you can enjoy in this world at the same time elevate your consciousness. And that's given in the Vedic scriptures. So basically, Sukadeva Goswami is saying is, we want to enjoy, that is why we are put in illusion, and that is how we get into this conception of I and mine. But all these conceptions are just illusory. They are illusory. Yeah. Illusory not like the way Mayavadis say, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Illusory in the sense that they are temporary and we don't belong to this nature. So in that sense, it's illusory. Yarhi va mahimni swe parasmin kalamayayo rametagat sammohas tyaktvo daste tado bhayam. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, please.
Translation by His Divine Grace. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. Purport: the two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the conception of mine is very prominent, and in the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mine is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs, who fight with one another with the same misconception of mine. In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mind is transformed into I am, or it is all I am, etc. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors. But the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servitor of the Lord. This is pure consciousness, and the whole Vedic literatures teach us this conception of life. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mind. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literatures to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately, the living entity is subordinate to the Lord, and he is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord, therefore, asks the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future. Even accepting that in the future one will be as good a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being, then why is one now under the control of material nature? The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of the material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up this misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service or firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life, but if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, but one should be constitutionally situated in one's own glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servitor of the Lord. In his conditioned life, the living entity is servant of the illusory Maya, and in his liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. To become untinged by the modes of material nature is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. As long as one is a servant of mental concoctions, one cannot be completely free from the disease of I and mine. The supreme truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is the controller of that energy. The relative truths are apt to be engrossed in illusory energy. The best purpose is served, however, when one is directly facing the supreme truth as one faces the sun. The sun overhead in the sky is full of light, but when the sun is not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusions. And one who is not so is in the darkness of illusory Maya. The Bhagavad Gita 14.26 confirms this as follows. Mamcha yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So the signs of Bhakti Yoga of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees should be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by misconceptions of I and mine. The karmis are fond of the conception of mine. The gyanis are fond of the conception of I. And both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of the illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine. And Srila Vyasadeva transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position where there is no more influence of time nor of the material energy. In conditioned life, The living entity is subjected to the influence of time in the dream of past, present, and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord himself by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego. But the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept Lord Vasudeva as the supreme in everything, and the best perfection in culturing knowledge is to surrender unto him because he is the source of everything. Only in that conception can one get rid of the misconception of I and mine. Both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vyasadeva has specifically contributed to the illusioned living entities, the science of God and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature Srimad Bhagavatam, and the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great science. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you. So, गर्हि वा महिमनि स्वे replacement kalamayo remate gata sammohas takto dasatto tado bhayam. Certainly, when the jiva becomes attached to the great Lord, who is different from time and maya, having given up both time and maya, free of illusion, he remains detached. Yeah. So, just as jiva endures countless births through unexpected influence of maya, by unexpected influence of bhakti, the appearance of prema comes, and in this way, jiva can terminate countless births. So, like maya is very powerful, similarly, bhakti is also very powerful. Bhakti can terminate all the births. So, jiva should enjoy in his glory different from time and maya and give up the enjoyment of body in the form of I and mind. And he should replace a false shelter by real shelter. And the Prabhupada writes about the real shelter. What is the real shelter? I am eternal servant of Krishna, and this association of devotees belongs to me. That's true ego, basically. We just have to replace the ego, that's all. We have to start identifying with Krishna, Krishna's devotees, the paraphernalia, prasadam, temples, deities, all these things, that's all. They belong to us. So, Kal Mayo Prasmin. Lord is devoid of transformation created by time and elements like Mahatattva. Similarly, Jiva also is away from them. That's why he should be attached to Supreme Lord, not to things which change. So, attainment of bhakti is called unexpected in order to show that how bhakti is necessary for deliverance of Jiva who is enjoying in this material world. So, Vyasadeva earlier, he had realized, and Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam, paro api manute anartham, tadartham chavipadyate. Anarthoposamam sakshat bhakti yogam aduksaje, loka sadharanto vidam chakre sata samhita. So, bewildered by Maya, although jiva is separate from three gunas, he considers himself to be a part of three gunas. And that is why he suffers. So Vyasadeva saw Bhakti Yoga to the Lord as an effective way of destroying Jiva's birth and death, and that's why Chakre Sata Sametam, he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, there is an alternate even for ego that is explained by Prabhupada here. I am eternal servant of Krishna, and things related to Krishna and devotees are mine. And it's the duty of devotees, which are already they are doing, is to show that alternate to the conditioned souls. And as a sadhaka, we should also see that alternatives. Like, for example, generally people have a conception that if you take only prasad, you are so restricted. Like when I move around, then many times when people hear that he takes only prasad, they feel so much compassion. You take only prasad? Don't you feel like eating anything else? As if I'm suffering like anything. And seeing them, I feel that compassionate upon them, how they are suffering. Because they don't know what enjoyment we are getting. Like sometimes devotees also say, Prabhu, we have to do so much sadhana. But when I ask certain questions to the devotees, then they realize. Like for example, here also, how many of you feel that you enjoyed more variety of food stuffs after coming in ISKCON than before coming to ISKCON? Right? You can raise your just raise your hands without, yeah. At least I felt. I never heard many names. Once some devotees, there was in Brahmachari ashram, there was a party. Lasagna Prasad. Lasagna looks like a city. And then he said, no, there's something called lasagna. Okay, okay. So I never heard such a names which we eat. Similarly, how many devotees have a realization that they travel more, enjoy more going here and there than they did before coming to Krishna consciousness? Right? Yeah. So every day we get up, whether we want or we don't want, we have to enjoy kirtans and dancing. So it's like a compulsory enjoyment. So generally, people when they don't know about these things, they think devotees suffer. But actually, in devotional service, there's more enjoyment than when we reject Krishna and start taking a perverted life. That is why in one of the verses of Isopanishad, Asurya Namite Loka. I think they saw the nearby verse, next verse. So there, Madhvachar, when he writes a commentary, he says, those who are asuras, they defame Vishnu by saying that if you come to Vishnu, you won't enjoy. But actually, the truth is, when you are connected to Vishnu, you enjoy more. So even in our conditioned state, we see we have varieties of prasad, and certainly we have to go to Dham. What to do, right? So devotees go to Puri, and they know the exact timings when hot prasad comes, in which corner of Anand Bazar, what is available. They go to the beach, they do Harinam Sankirtan there, sing and dance, take ocean bath. At the same time, we can see there are so many materialistic people who come to Puri. So especially from Bengal, they come to Puri and they eat fish. They put their feet in ocean water. They remove their feet from the ocean water and they just go back. So they don't know how to enjoy. So even in a conditioned state, there is more enjoyment available in bhakti than outside. What to say of when one starts really realizing bhakti? So that is how uh, identifying with ourselves as eternal servant of Krishna and things related to Krishna as ours, actually Jiva enjoys. So it's only under illusion one thinks that I can remain disconnected with Krishna and I'll enjoy more. So that's only an illusion. Yeah. Okay, so now we can go to the next verse. Atmatattva-visuddhi-artham yad-aha bhagavan-ritam brahmane darsayan rupam avvalika pratadrataha. Yes, please read translation purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I please Dandavat
Yes,
Pranam?
yes, please. Yes, Mataji.
O King, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma, because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned souls. Purport. Atma Tattva is the science of both God and the living entity. Both the Supreme Lord and the living entity are known as Atma. The Supreme Lord is called Paramatma, and the living entity is called Atma, the Brahma or the Jiva. Both the Paramatma and the Jivatma, being transcendental to the material energy, are called Atma. So Sukadeva Goswami explains this verse with the aim of purifying the truth of both the Paramatma and the Jivatma. Generally, people have many wrong conceptions about both of them. The wrong conception of the Jivatma is to identify the material body with a pure soul, and the wrong conception of Paramatma is to think him on an equal level with a living entity. But both misconceptions can be removed by one stroke of Bhakti Yoga. Just as in the sunlight, both the sun and the world and everything within the sunlight are properly seen. In the darkness one cannot see the sun, nor himself, nor the world. But in the sunlight one can see the sun, himself, and the world around him. Srila Sukadeva Goswami therefore says that for purification of both wrong conceptions, the Lord presented his eternal form before Brahmaji, being fully satisfied by Brahma's non-deceptive vow of discharging Bhakti Yoga. Except for Bhakti Yoga, any method for realization of Atma Tattva or the science of Atma will prove deceptive in the long run. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that only by Bhakti Yoga can one know Him perfectly, and then one can enter into the science of God. Brahmaji undertook great penance in performing Bhakti Yoga, and thus he was able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. His transcendental form is 100% spiritual, and one can see him only by spiritualized vision of the proper discharge of tapasya or penance in pure Bhakti Yoga. The form of the Lord manifested before Brahma is not one of the forms with which we have experience in the material world. Brahma did not perform such severe types of penance just to see a form of material production. Therefore, the question by Maharaj Parikshit about the form of the Lord is answered. The form of the Lord is Sachidananda, or eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. But the material form of the living entity is neither eternal, nor full of knowledge, nor blissful. That is a distinction between the form of the Lord and that of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, however, can regain his form of eternal knowledge and bliss simply by seeing the Lord by means of Bhakti Yoga. The summary is that due to ignorance, the conditioned soul is engaged in the temporary varieties of material forms. But the Supreme Lord has no such temporary form like the conditioned souls. He is always possessed of an eternal form of knowledge and bliss, and that is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. One can understand this difference by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Brahma was then told by the Lord the gist of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 original verses. Thus, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a creation of the mental speculators. The sound of Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the resonance of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. Thus, the topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of both the Lord and the living entity. Regular reading or hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is also performance of Bhakti Yoga, and one can attain the highest perfection simply by the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Both Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. So, Atma Tattva Visuddhi Artham Yadaha Bhagavan Ritam Brahmane Darsayan Rupa Navilike Vitadarda. So, worshipped by sincere devotion, revealing his true spiritual form, the Lord spoke to Brahma the 4 essential verses of Bhagavatam in order to give knowledge about himself. So, Parikshit Maharaj had asked this question: what is beyond time? What is beyond Maya? So, this verse answers this question. The Lord spoke for giving knowledge, Visuddhi, about his own nature, Atma Tattva. Or he spoke for the purification of components like Chitta or the Jiva. So he revealed his form by speaking 4 verses of Bhagavatam, which begins with uh, Aham evasam evagre. That before this material creation, Lord says, I was there. That means, since there was no matter, that which means his body is not material. Because when matter didn't exist, Lord says, I existed. That means his body is spiritual, it is not material. So that explains very clearly that his body is made up of Satchidananda. It's not a material body. So Avalik Vrata. So the Lord is worshipped by sincere bhakti. Like Sridhar Swami writes, Jivas avidya deha sambandha, Ishvara satu yoga maya, chit ghan leela, vigraha avirbhav iti mahan vishesh uktaha. The jiva is related with body by ignorance, or body of ignorance by avidya. It is out of illusion one identifies with the body. By yoga maya of the Lord, Lord's form of knowledge and pastimes appear. And that is explained in this verse. So difference between Lord and Jiva is, Lord is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda. But problem with us is that we have a tendency to be covered by Maya in order to think that we are enjoyers. So it's natural for Lord to accept enjoyment, and it's natural for the living entities to serve the Lord. And if we are in our own places, we are very happy. But if we try to imitate the Lord by thinking that I am enjoyer, then we actually suffer. Rather, there is more enjoyment in service. More enjoyment in service. So I'll just end with that. Like, why did Lord Chaitanya appear? Because he saw that I am supreme enjoyer, but when Radharani tries to serve me, I feel very blissful. But Radharani practically faints in ecstasy. So when I am supreme enjoyer, I am supposed to enjoy more. How is it that Radharani is enjoying more than me? In order to have that experience, he comes in the mood of Radharani as Lord Chaitanya. Krishna comes in the mood of Radharani. Because this mood of service is greater enjoyment. Once, this was my last class which I attended of Pankaj Prabhu before he departed from this world. So he was explaining. So he was saying that there's no fun in being God. Like if you're omniscient, you're all knowing, there's nothing to be known. And that's why Lord purposefully covers himself with Yoga Maya, and then he enjoys. Oh, I was thinking he will never become a devotee. How he became a devotee? Oh. So Lord tries to put himself in forgetfulness so that he can enjoy the enjoyment of knowing something. So, which proves that the enjoyment of service, being subordinate, is very great. And somehow, if Jiva thinks that it is not so, then one suffers trying to become God. Trying to become God. So that is what is explained here by Prabhupada also in the purport. And Prabhupada writes that we can achieve that bliss by associating with Bhagavatam. Because Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam itself is one of the 5 potent forms of devotion service. Pachit Maharaj got perfection by that. Sukhdev Goswami got perfection by that. So we have that opportunity in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So we'll end here and we'll continue the class tomorrow. गंधरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल्पपाद की जय। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमः। शिल्पपाद की जय।